Hello everybody, my name is Helen Huntley. I'm Dean of the School of Education and the Arts here at CQ University, and I've been asked to have a chat to you today about the habits of mind and how these might relate to your learning. So for a start, congratulations on taking the step of being a university student, and I hope today some of these little hints and tips will be able to enhance your success for university study. So I'm not sure whether many of you have actually heard about the habits of mind. If you've read a book called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, written by Stephen Covey, then you may be aware, because that particular book was based on the work of Art Costa, who originally devised 16 habits of mind. And basically, most institutions that offer education, whether it be schools or unis, we tend to concentrate usually on what students do know rather than what they don't know. And I guess if we use these habits of mind effectively, it can help us as students, it can help you to think about how you approach problems when you don't know the answer. So Covey worked on the premise that intelligent human beings not only have information and are able to recall information, but you actually have to know how to act on it and what to do with the information. So I'm going to go through, it's the Cook's tour. It's quite, there's been a lot written about this, and I'm going to give you just a really brief outline so you don't go to sleep. But certainly I can show you at the end where to find some resources if you'd like to look at these in more depth. So realistically, Art Costa, when he's talking about habits of mind, he's talking about what intelligent people do that will enhance their learning over their lifespan. So it is relevant to you. It's really important for university students because the main job that you do with us here is to learn and then use that knowledge in a contextual way. So how do you approach your learning for maximum success using the habits of mind? Okay, let's have a look at those habits. And as I said, some of them are more relevant to the university context than not, but I'm going to go through each one of them individually. The first of these is persisting, and it's one of the most important ones. Persistent people stick to a task until it's finished. They don't give up easily. So what you need to do to demonstrate this habit is not just stick to a task, because if you keep doing the same thing and expecting a different outcome, you're going to be very disappointed. So persistent people develop a repertoire, a range of strategies to help them to solve a problem. So it's a systematic way of analysing a problem and then being able to attack it. So you have to know where to begin, you have to know what steps need to be performed, what data you have to either generate or collect, and what resources are available to you. And I guess realistically, if you're talking about university and doing assessments or exams, it's about not giving up if things seem too difficult, but to approach the problem in another way. Find another way to do it. The second habit of mind that I'll talk about is managing impulsivity. Now that doesn't mean don't walk across the road if there's oncoming traffic just because you're in a hurry, although that's a good idea as well. Covey says that effective problem solvers are deliberate, which means that they think before they act. So it's really important when you're approaching anything to do with your learning that the first thing you have to do is have a vision of what you want to achieve at the end, and you need to develop an action plan. So you need to consider all of the options that are open to you, and you need to try and find a step-by-step way of solving that problem. People who manage their impulsivity and don't just jump in and do the first thing that occurs to them, they actually save time because you decrease the amount of trial and error that you do with this more learned and deliberate approach. So you gather information, you take the time to reflect on the answer before you actually start the task, and that's really, really important. So in terms of uni, don't start your assignment or your assessment piece without a quite thorough plan. And best information, the best advice that I can give you is to go straight to the task sheet and the criteria sheet or the marking sheet, and then you can make sure that you're following what's in the mind of your tutor or lecturer so that you have that plan really efficient before you start. The third habit is listening with understanding and empathy. Interestingly enough, we spend about 55% of our lives listening, but listening is one of those skills that no one really teaches us to do properly. So sometimes you'll hear people say, I listened, but I didn't actually hear. And that's really true. Our experts tell us that often we say we're listening, but we're not really attending to what people are saying. We're rehearsing in our mind what's the next thing that's going to come out of our mouths. So it's really important when you're approaching study that you do listen, especially listen firstly to your tutors and your lecturers, and really listen for understanding, to know, especially if they're talking about assignments. But the other thing, it's really important to listen to your peers. And when you're having group discussions, when you're doing group tasks, don't just pretend to listen. Make sure you actually take that information on board, because you will learn from it. My old dad used to say, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. I'll let you think about that. Another habit of mind is thinking flexibly, and I guess a way to talk about this is to put on a different sort of thinking hat just for a moment. So flexible people have a capacity to change their plans and to change their mind as they get more information. So flexible people can address a problem from a new angle using different approaches. So in other words, don't just doggedly stick to what you already know. You might collect information along the way, and you might have to change your stance or change your approach, and that's absolutely fine. Don't be scared to be a bit confused. Some people, when they get, say, an assignment task, get really upset because they think, oh my gosh, I don't know anything about this. How am I going to start? How am I going to do? Am I going to pass? Don't be scared of confusion. Use that confusion to find new ways of thinking and doing. Another habit is actually called metacognition, which is a really flash way of saying thinking about thinking. Metacognition is the ability of humans to know both what we know and what we don't know. So then you plan a strategy for filling in the gaps. So if you're approaching an assignment, it's really important that you don't start without a bit of a plan of action. And if there are things in that assignment that you don't know about, then you go out and research them. You don't just close your mind off and think, I'm only going to write about what I know. It's really important then, once you have finished that task, to actually reflect on it. Reflection is a really important strategy for us all, but particularly for university students. So think about the way that you approach the task, think about the feedback that was given to you, think about how you felt about the task, and then you can actually improve on the subsequent. If we're talking about assignments, you can improve on the subsequent assignment tasks. Another habit is called striving for accuracy. People who value accuracy and precision and good craftsmanship actually take the time to check over their products. Just remember, near enough is never good enough, and you need to do your best. Of course, you'll get to a stage where you've read your assignment quite a few times and you still might think it needs some polishing up and you just run out of time. But what I'm saying is, there used to be a saying when I went to Teachers Training College that P's mean degrees. Passes is good enough. I would say that's not. I would say intelligent people that value learning actually put their best approach and best effort into each time that they hand in an assignment. Another habit is questioning and posing problems, and this is really important when you're constructing an assignment. People who can solve problems will learn better, and effective problem solvers know how to ask questions of themselves to fill in the gaps between what you know and what you don't know. So there's some questions that are really important for you to ask yourself, say for argument's sake, when you're preparing for an exam or when you're structuring an assignment. What evidence do I have? How do I know that it's credible and reliable? And where did I get it from? So it's very important that you can critique the information that's coming to you. I think the one example that I would give you is don't believe Wikipedia. I don't think you'll get a very terrific grade for resourcing academic data if you put Wikipedia at the top of the list, because obviously that can be changed and quite regularly is. So you have to be able to sift and sort through all the sources of information that you're compiling and make sure you get reliable information. Another habit is applying past knowledge to new situations. I can't tell you how important this is. Intelligent human beings learn from experience. So if you're confronted with a new problem, and especially one that's a little bit challenging, you actually draw from the experiences in your past that relate to this type of activity. So it is really important that you learn from your mistakes and your successes. And in terms of assignments, we as university lecturers go to a lot of effort to give you feedback on your assignment in a criteria sheet or written in the body of your work. Use that information, please. Always just make sure that you have a look where you went wrong and the things that you did well, and then you can use that information the next time you structure a piece of assessment. Another habit is thinking and communicating with clarity and precision. That basically works on the premise that our language and our thinking are really closely intertwined. So intelligent people strive to communicate accurately in both their speaking communication and their written communication. So I would recommend when you're doing a presentation or assignment, you need to say what you mean, but it needs to be clear. Yes, it has to stick to the academic conventions that you are writing under for your discipline, but you need to make sure that when you write something, your tutors, the people who are going to mark, actually understand what it is that you're trying to say. And sometimes it's really a good strategy to read aloud. Read your assignment back to yourself aloud and see if it makes sense. Another habit is gathering data through all of our senses, and that just basically means don't just rely on listening or don't just rely on reading. You need to use all of your senses, including your emotional senses. Sometimes people say something, but you can tell by their body language or the tone of their voice that may not be exactly what they mean. So use all of your senses. Another habit is creating, imagining, and innovating. Creative human beings actually try to organise and devise solutions to their problems differently. So don't just do the same old, same old. Always try and push the boundaries of your skills, especially where you think you've got limitations. So for argument's sake, if you have a choice of the presentation of your assignment, one is a verbal presentation, much like I'm doing today, or one is a written, and you're a little bit hesitant to perform in front of the camera or to be taped, or you're a little bit nervous with your language skills and you'd prefer to just write, take a step outside that comfort zone and try something new. So try to push your own boundaries. Another habit is responding with wonderment and awe. That's just a really flash way of saying you need to have fun, be curious, seek out new opportunities, especially learning opportunities. University shouldn't just be all serious. Excuse me. You should try to find the fun in the work that you're doing. Another habit is taking responsible risks, and again, try to push your own boundaries and try new ways of doing things. You're never going to truly learn unless you push yourself outside your comfort zone. Another habit is one that I actually have lived my whole life by, certainly my academic life, and that's finding humour. Now, our physiologists, our scientists have found that humour, laughing, is fantastic for us. It relaxes our blood vessels, it reduces stress levels. They've even found evidence that it gives our immune system a boost. So if those people who laugh and have fun are able to stave off the cold or the flu. Not sure how true that is, but it certainly does make us feel better. Laughing is just a great way to approach life. So please make sure that not all of the things that you do at university, yes, you need to take them seriously, but you don't have to be serious all the time. Laugh regularly, and I would recommend that includes laughing at yourself. Our last two, coming to the end, thinking interdependently. That is an academic way of saying that we are social beings, we congregate in groups, we actually draw the energy and the wisdom from other people. So it's really important for life that you learn how to be a good group member, both a leader of a group and a member of a group. What you'll find at university is very often you'll actually have to present or work in groups to present and write assignments. So it's important that you actually learn how to get on with people, how to read them, how to work together, so that you can do that. And of course, that's a really important graduate skill in any workplace. Finally, Art Covey would say that it's really important for us to remain open to continuous learning. Intelligent people who will succeed at university and in life, have a continuous desire to keep learning. People with this habit of mind are always striving to improve, to grow, to learn, to modify themselves, so that they can keep continuous improvement going. At the university, we would call this lifelong learning. Okay, that's it for the habits, and I know that was what we'd say the cooks to. It was pretty quick. However, there are a lot of resources if you want to dig more deeply into one of those habits or a number of those habits. If you look at habitsofmind.org on the web, there's a series of resources. There's one of them that I'm just holding up here. I'm not sure if you can see that, but it's a table. It's got a little diagram, but it's got the name of the habit, and then it's got a really quick and easy summary of what demonstrating that habit actually means. Okay, thank you so much. I hope you get to the end of this recording. Please remember there's lots of support at the university, both online and in person, to help you with your studies, but realistically the first effort has to come from you, and I think you might find that these habits of mind will give you some of the strategies to be able to help you succeed. So all the very best. Take care. Bye-bye.